That page you finished, there are a few parts in this region that have dazzling light. Allinda shuru ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. Brackets, you discuss, you have to take off from there.
Anyway, we'll start from there only, from where we start.
Okay.
All these
Done.
thoughts, all these thoughts were due to the heart, and subsequently all our actions will be governed and regulated by this thing only. At the first step, wrongly if it unwisely directed, and correctly if properly directed. Basically, we need to give a proper direction to the thoughts that we get. That's all it is. That's what Babuji is trying to say. It means that it is the master of them all. It is the controlling agency in itself. This is the condition of your heart within you. So he is trying to elaborate the importance of the heart. That it is the master of them all. It is the controlling agency. It is working in different ways and colors. The main artery of the Almighty, with the idea of creation, is working through it, is working through the heart. Please remember, when you say working through, it means it's working through the heart. The pendulum-like movement in your heart is nothing but the effect of the invisible motion below the center. Our heart, being in touch with the invisible motion, plays the same part in its own place according to its capacity. Thus, its function is very similar to that of the invisible motion. Lo, the visible form of godly invisible motion, it is a drop of the ocean. So our heart is the drop of the ocean. Whatever invisible motion is there next to the center, below the center, that invisible motion now becomes visible as far as the heart is concerned. It is but a unit issued forth from the center. It is the same power but in a limited sense. The big thing has its unlimited powers. Limitation, however, is the outcome of our own narrow-mindedness. Okay, so I think we just finished there. We'll continue from there. Invisible motions descended from the main artery for the creation of the universe and thus spread like showers in the vast region. These revolving motions constituted the world, no doubt, and we see the forms created by the Almighty through the invisible motions all around. This clearly proves that we are connected with the force of power which affected such wonderful results that we see in the world. Thus, though diversely related with each other, all things are finally connected with one and the same thing. What is that one and the same thing? With the invisible motion. Everything that has come into this creation has come from that invisible motion just below the center. These things are all running throughout the bigger circle of which we find out our heart as a part. We have limitations created by our own force of will. That is why we find out inner circle of heart separated from the things said above. So anyway, there is an outer circle and there is an inner circle. We are separated from the heart because of the samskara circle that we create, or the covering circle. Everything abides within this region, the heart region. Pralaya comes here when things change and return to the source they have come from. Before things come to the present form, revolving motions commence, and at some places it is greater, while at the other places it is lesser in degree. So when we talk about the heart region, now Babaji, you remember the 7 things I mentioned about heart? Now Babaji is talking about not the heart in the way that we talk about this Pinda Pradesha. He is talking about the heart region from the first point up to the 10th point. That is what is the heart region that he is talking about. So from the 11th point, 13th point to the 11th point, there is vibrations. As the vibrations come down after crossing the 10th point, what happens is that we see revolving motions commence at some places greater and some places lesser. Now this is talking about after the 10th point. The points of greater and lesser degree serve to increase the resistance, like the brackets, which increase the power of the current. So if you look at a water flow, and you just follow the water flow, wherever it hits an obstruction, it takes a curve. It forms a bracket. But the effect of that curve is that the water, rather than slowing down, it actually starts moving faster. At each bracket, there is marked a lotus named after the work it does. So they're all within one title called the heart region. Functions of each of these lotuses are different. The stages of human development in spirituality are governed to some extent by these subcircles called the chakras or the lotuses. Now, if somehow or other we cross this bigger circle, then we have nothing to cross but the first or the supermind of God, the cause of all creation. Behind it, there is the center, the real goal of life. The center is a very big thing, oval in shape, because of the revolving motion moving that way. Why do you feel that there is something under it? The current of the Almighty flows in this region and rather abounds in it. There is a great mystery underlying it. On account of the revolving motions, there are some particles like those we see when you enter a dark room. This is the daily experience in your life. When you go into the dark room, you will find ring-like sparks of light in it. These ring-like sparks are all present in the sacred region of God. There are different powers which the circle consists of. When you practice Raja Yoga, these begin to melt away till they are exhausted. So this is something that he's talking about, like the normally when we enter into dark room, we do see some bright particles. Now he's talking about they're all from the divine creation at the level of the particle. In our march towards the reality, all these bright particles they are gradually disappear. Reaching the top of the circle. Now, when we say top of the circle, here, the 10th point, various powers begin to come to the Abhyasi. The opening of each knot means that the advent of some power or the other. So, whenever we open any chakra, from the first point onwards, whenever we open any chakra, we get power out of it. And it is that power or energy that helps us move to the next point. The able master of Raja Yoga hammers them down to make the surface smooth. The power so caused by hammering comes in the disciple automatically. Each such spark is the source of a result of such motion coming from above. You can reach its highest point whenever you dissolve these things. If all things are dissolved in toto, you feel yourself as calm as you must have felt a little before coming into this world for the first time. Calmness prevails all over, simplicity abides nearby, plainness is the result. So these are the three things that we actually feel when we go to the 12th point. At the 12th point, we feel plainness, simplicity, and calmness. So that's what we actually become when we actually reach that particular place. When all these centers or the chakras are opened up and the powers are actually assimilated by us, we enter into the 12th point where all these things merge together as we read in the Towards Infinity, and we get established in the condition of plainness, simplicity, and calmness. Now, God has given brackets in subcircles of the heart region. They begin to get loose till they lose their identity and come to a standstill. No power of the brackets now remains. You untie everything. This untying of a certain thing produces some results because it is the natural phenomenon that every action must bring out some result. The rays that you feel in the different corners of the subcenter all begin to disappear. The light which you feel by the amalgamation of the matter with the real thing begins to fade till it disappears altogether. So brackets are generally between 2 points. The brackets acts like centers. Centers means they act like blockages. So the job of the guru is to untie this bracket and make that power available for the Abhyasi's progress. So the brackets are kind of straightened up, smoothened out. The energy in the bracket is now released, and that energy is absorbed by the Abhyasi, and that makes their journey smooth to the next point. This is what happens. Yeah. There are few parts in this region, that have a dazzling light. People in certain samsthas sometimes meditate upon this light as well. They take the light as the real thing and they go on with curiosity into it, fully applying their will. The result is that they expand the matter for the light to come in a higher degree. The power of light no doubt increases as the capacity for having it improves. But really speaking, they are on the verge of Maya in the solid form. I use the word solid for the light. Scientists may object to it. But if you think in the true sense of the reality, where there is no light or darkness, then you will find the former far heavier than the later. The light is more heavier than the darkness. That's what Babuji is saying. These things happens generally in Trikuti and beyond it. The topmost portion of the body is the end of this big circle. Such is the sphere of this big circle. So when you say the topmost portion of the head, This is what he's talking about here, the 10th point. So, in other words, although he is not explicitly mentioned, if you kind of just go to the depth of the meaning of what he has written, the heart region, according to Babuji in this book, extends from the first point up to the 10th point. However, in the exam, please do not write this. In the exam, what they want is that the first 5 points is the heart region, and the next points belong to the mind region from the sixth point. So that's what they would expect you to write in the exam. Please write that. Now, this light and other thing, if you remember, there is an anecdotal incident that Ramakrishna Paramahamsa asks about the light that people can see in the Trikuti. And Vivekananda says that I have been seeing that light since when I was very young. I never thought that's very important, and I thought that everyone will be seeing, so I never bothered about it. Then Ramakrishna Paramahamsa explains about the importance of seeing that light. But in our system, we don't pay importance to that light because, as Babaji writes, we have to go beyond light and darkness to reach the center. And he says that if you go on paying attention to the light, you make it more and more heavier and solid. So in our sanstha, we do not want to pay attention to that particular light at all because that is not our goal. Okay? So sister, please go ahead.
Brother, the sixth point is also known as Agna Chakra, right, brother? So
Yeah.
it is known as Trikuti also. So there are two names for the point sixth, right? Okay.
Yeah. Same. There are very many things in this vast circle which can only be felt. No words can express them. The various powers of nature resides here. Atri Rishi is playing his part here. He has not gone far above in this circle, although thousands of years have elapsed. Rishi Agastya has his working in this region only. They get command for the work from the personality who has crossed this region. Besides this, there are very many rishis working in this very region. So the heart region is a very vast region where many of the rishis of the past are still working. I open a secret of nature. We worship Vishnu, thinking him to be our God. I may disclose his strength today. He only keeps the different particles in order to keep up the creation. His circle of work is within this region. Vishnu is working within this heart region. No god or devata can ever boast of crossing this circle. It is but for a human being who has at his command the power and the means to do so, and thus his flight is far above that of the gods. It is really we who give them power by the force at our command. I use the word we for the personalities who have crossed this region, the heart region, and entered the region described as the first or supermind of God. So the human beings who cross the heart region then give power to the gods residing in the heart region. So please keep this particular point in mind. Then I am using this word for the personalities who have crossed even this region. Still, I am incorrect. I must say that it is for those who have gone far about the first mind of God. When he says far about the first mind of God, he is talking about personalities who have established their connection with the ultimate. It is easy for us to cross the big region of the heart by following the advice of one's master. But remember, a capable master can only be he who has crossed all the regions far and above and has the power of transmission. Firm will is no doubt required on the path of the disciple. This thing is not really so difficult as it appears to be. Abhyasis adopt intricate methods for gaining a simple thing. That is the main difficulty in the way. So Vijay brother has come to give you some feedback. So what we shall do is we shall finish this heart and mind region, and then I will allow Vijay brother to give his feedback about your performance in the test that he is conducting. Okay, and you will all be surprised by the results because Vijay brother has been very strict with his correction. So don't worry about it because in the examination, the correction will be far more lenient. Okay. So we'll just finish few pages and then we can have the discussion. Narada was at the lowest rung of the ladder leading up to this region. He played his tune, no doubt, with his veena in one corner of the heart region. He was only the catcher of the sound or the shabda felt in the heart. He was observed only in the inferior type of the sound produced in the heart. I do not want to deal further taking up the examples of other big rishis. I am afraid the people may pounce upon me if I disclose their condition or true state, but I may reveal these things to my representative, whosoever it may be. I have to disclose very many things. Some of them will come to light during my lifetime, others will follow me when I shall cease to exist in the material form. The heart region is extended almost from the head to the foot. All the creation of the Almighty is within this circle. The work, of course, is divided and pushed on by different senses. If we go below the middle point of the heart region, we find several functionaries at work, of course, on different lines prescribed for each one of them. Powers of the Almighty are also found in them, which can be utilized as such. It is a very big machinery of nature. The heart region is a very big machinery of nature. All the powers of the nature are residing within this heart region. So I'll stop here. Any questions you can ask, because I'm just going slowly, because the efficacy of Raja Yoga sometimes is not a very easy book to follow. Lot of confusion can arise. That's why every 2-3 pages I'm stopping. Any questions you can ask.
2 questions, brother.
Okay, sister, go ahead.
Brother, when you describe the big circle is actually circle point number 1 to point number 10. But for our exam, whatever, we have to mention heart region is only till Pind Pradesh.
Yeah.
Why do you say, brother, 10th circle is like a big circle? Why does Babuji use that word big circle? Because it Prabhu Pradesh starts from there. What is the logic, brother? Mind region does not end there.
Okay. Heart region consists of the entire creation of God. That's why he's just now mentioned, this is the big machinery of nature. The things which are between the 11th and the 13th point, they actually are forces in the subtle form which control this machinery. In other words, from the 10th point onwards, so you enter into the divine kingdom. You remember from the towards infinity, from the 10th point onwards, we start getting a fragrance of the Bhuma. We enter into the kingdom of the Bhuma. You remember that?
Prabhu. He
exactly.
says,
Prabhu, exactly. So at the 8th point is Prapanna, 9th point is Prapanna Prabhu, and in the 10th point, we are in the region of the Prabhu itself. So what happens is, we are now entering that divine region. Now, if you want to divide it into 2 regions, there is this heart region and there is that divine region. Now, the divine region which controls this heart region is like akin to the mind which controls our body. So if you take the entire creation as body, then what happens is that something is controlling that, a force behind that. Now, that is the divine region, and that is what is called as the mind region. But although we say it as the mind region, you might ask, whose mind is it? If you say it is a mind region, and also you say it's a divine region, whose mind is it? Of course, it is the mind of the divine. So there are people who have described the first 5 points, the 6th point to 10th point, as Brahman's gross body, 11th to 13th point as Brahman's subtle body, and the central region up to the center as Brahman's causal body. So that is also another description that comes in the what do you say, Upanishad. But the Upanishad gives different reasons. It does not talk about the points. But Upanishad says Brahman's gross body is called as Virat Desh. Brahman's subtle body is called as Antaryamin or Avyakrita. And the Brahman's causal body is called as Hiranyagarbha. Lalaji writes about it in Truth Eternal. There are 3 individual bodies, the gross body, subtle body, and the causal body. Likewise, Brahman also has 3 bodies, the gross body, subtle body, and the causal body. In our exams, we were asked about writing the names of these individual bodies and the Brahman's bodies and describe the difference between the two. So we did have that question in our exam. But since Truth Eternal is not a part of your portion, so probably they might not ask you this question, but it's worthwhile to remember. Individual 3 bodies, Brahman 3 bodies. So the Brahman's gross body, subtle body, and causal body. Brahman's gross body is the Virat Desh, which is from 6th to 10th. Brahman's subtle body is 11 to 13, which is the Avyakrita or Antaryamin. Then you have the Brahman's causal body, it is also called as Hiranyagarbha.
So basically, 6 to 10 is Virat.
Virat Desh, not just Virat.
Virat.
Virat
No,
Desh.
got it. Virat Desh. And 10 to 13 is Antaryamin Avyaktagata. And when we enter the 13, Hiranyagarbha begins. That is where the sea, near the sea.
Exactly. Not near the sea.
Liberated.
Not near the.
Beyond that. Got it.
When you enter into the 13th point, you enter into the central region. In the central region, you are at the periphery. You have just your gross identity at that level. Okay. Now from there, you have to cross the 7 rings of splendor. Then you have to cross the stir. Then you enter into the infinite ocean. This is the sequence in which you actually flow into the central region. When you do that, when you reach that the infinite ocean just near the center, that is when you start re-establishing your connection with the center, and that is the realization of the Bhuma, so to say. You start aligning with the Bhuma. If you take the region of the Bhuma, it starts from the 10th point. But if you actually take Bhuma itself, that is the center. So when you go near the center after having crossed the first mind of God and then entering into that infinite ocean, that is where you start re-establishing the connection with the Bhuma.
Brother, sorry to, there are two versions I saw in our books only. That's what I'm like, wondering. Occipital center, occipital, whatever you call it, 13th point, back of the head, that actually after we cross that is where the 7 rings of splendor begin. Correct, no, brother?
I want you to stop here. Just listen
Yes,
to the
brother.
explanation.
Thank you, brother.
There are 13 floors.
Yes, brother.
They are the 13th point, 13 points. In the 13th floor, you reach the terrace. Suppose imagine that there is a water tank in the terrace. And the water tank has 7 steps that you need to climb before you reach the water tank and the water itself. Okay. Now you entered the 13th point in the sense that you have actually come to the 13th floor. But you have not reached the water or the place where the water is stored. You have to cross the 7 steps. Now those 7 steps is the 7 rings of splendor that you cross. Then you come near to the water tank. Now that is like the infinite ocean. Then you start getting connection with the water inside. If you just kind of remember this analogy, it's far more easier to remember.
Fantastic. Thank you, brother. Because some diagram in our literature said center point is 13. I was bowled over. I was wondering, what is this now? Got it. My version, your version matching. Thank you.
Exactly.
I'm saved.
That is where a lot of confusion is there.
Got it.
Entering the 7th point, 13th point. So if you take each point as a floor, it makes it easier to understand.
7 rings of splendor basically after 13th point. That is critical information we needed. 1. Number 2, brother, we start getting the condition of liberated souls and all that when we cross 7th region, towards the end of 7th region. But there's a mention here, liberated souls are swimming forever near the center around the sea point.
Every soul, just listen. After you ask a question, please pause for a second. Okay, answer. Every soul which is crossed the 6th point and got out of the shadow of the Maya effect at the 7th point, every soul is called as liberated soul. Now, once the soul is liberated, it can be at any point. It can be traveling or it can be traversing any point. So, the souls, all the souls from the 7th point up to the center, near the center, they are all called as liberated souls by Babaji. Okay. Some among them are swimming in the infinite ocean next to the center. Some among them. But you will find souls all across this region in various stages of evolution. The thing is, why is liberation important? Liberation is important because once you get liberated, the next part of the journey is automatic. Just like from the amoeba up to human being, the process is automatic, governed by nature. The process after liberation is also automatic. Our choice is only here in this realm whether to get liberated or not. We can choose not to be liberated and we can be here forever, infinitely. There's no problem. But if you choose to get liberated, so what happens to somebody who crosses the seventh point and then they shed the body? What happens to them? What happens to that soul? They have not reached the center. They have not reached the central region. What is going to happen to them? But they are liberated. Nature provides a mechanism for them to evolve automatically from one sphere, from one point to the next point. So there is an automatic journey. This is what happens. Now, when Babaji uses the word liberated souls, he is talking about the entire region. However, we need to remember not all souls are in the same point. Each of them can be at different points of evolution in between this particular region, from the seventh point up near the center. Now, when he uses the word liberated souls who are swimming in the infinite ocean, in the sea, he is talking about souls that have reached that level of evolution. Now, that level of evolution can occur in two ways. Either they can reach that level of evolution while having a living body, or they can reach that level of evolution after having shed the living body and after going through the automatic process of nature. So, what then happens is most of the people who are now kind of swimming near the central region, near the center, are people who have gone through this automatic process in nature. Because if you read this book only, Babaji writes that it's Lalaji's invention that while having a living body, we can start swimming in the infinite ocean next to the center. So if it's Lalaji's invention, then what about the other souls who are there? They would have reached in the other route, which is after having shed the body, they would have started going through the automatic process of moving from one point to another point with the help of nature. So I hope it clarifies. Any doubt you can
Yes,
ask me.
just one last and I'm done. Babuji also writes, of all the souls who have come, it's only Sant Kabir who has crossed the 16, all others are below. So how do these souls are in the central, swimming in the infinite ocean just next to the center is my question.
In the same book, Babaji also writes that the first Raja Yogi, the Rishi who actually founded the system of Raja Yoga, he actually comes and intercommunes with Babaji. What you are reading now, partly it is in discussion with that particular sage that Babaji has written this particular book. He's further refined it after having this discussion, and the first Raja Yogi actually in 1944 whispers comes and gives a dictation regarding how he went about developing the system of Raja Yoga. And Babuji says he is there in the central region, and he also writes the first Raja Yogi who could reach the central region, the infinite ocean, he still not crossed half of the ocean. You remember that? We read about
yes,
it.
Yes.
So, although Babuji have mentioned about Kabir having reached the 13th point, we should not assume that no other soul before that has actually ever reached the central region. And as I said, there are two processes. One is the automatic process, other one is the process where we actually reach near the center while we have the body here. Now, what he meant when he said that Kabir was the one who could reach up to the 13th point is when he was here in living form.
Got it.
He's not talking about the journey after the death. He's talking about when Kabir was here, he could reach up to the 16th circle. He doesn't talk about the 13th point per se. he talked about the 16th circle, which is the last circle of the ego. Now, Babaji does not mention then after that Kabir actually entered into the central region. There is no mention of that or anything. What if you want to be more specific? Babaji writes, Kabir is the only one who could reach the 11th ring of the ego or the 16th ring from the first point, which is the last ring of the ego in the mind region. Now, there is no mention that he actually crossed into the central region. There is no mention of that. And what he is now talking about is in view of Kabir, it was more when he was around there rather than when he actually left the body. So that is probably what you probably need to take that into account.
Thank you very much, brother.
Okay.
Perfect.
Vijay,
Thank
brother,
you.
you want to add anything from your readings?
That's fine. I had one slide. I'll show it when we are discussing so that maybe it becomes more clear to them. The equivalence of these things, regions and points and whatever.
Okay. Because I think Babaji was asked during his time about many of these equivalences. People asked about different lokas and the equivalent points.
Yeah.
They asked about different regions and the equivalent points, all these kinds of things. And Babaji said, you work it out. He never clearly said this or that. He said, you work it out. So that's what happened. So anyway, so shall we proceed now? Or Vijay, you want to kind of present and then after that we can continue? You want to present and then make them before I can...
Now, before we get into the details of these statistics of the questions which were answered by you, I just want some feedback from you on the steps you followed. All of you, did you read that particular chapter, then close the book, and then without referring to the book, did you answer? Or you kept the book with you and then answered these questions? You can put it in the chat box also in case you find it is a problem. Let me know, because that has a lot of bearing on what we are going to discuss. How you answered these questions?
Brother, I answered it with the open book.
Okay. How about all others?
Sir, I answered first, then check the book. So that it is right or no. Many times there were mistakes, I corrected. I know.
Okay.
Open book, brother.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
I need to share, Raghu brother.
Yeah, 1 minute. Hello. You can share now.
Let me know when you are able to see the screen. Huh?
Yes, brother.
See, these are the responses till yesterday night, but quite late in the night yesterday. This is the detail regarding the statistics actually. Now let me hide this. So this is from Sajmark Philosophy, Chapter 1. 9 of you have answered. The max was around 50 marks from this. And as you can see, the distribution is hovering around what, mid 30s to 40s. So if you have answered with open book after consulting the book, it should be always in the max. There cannot be any errors. So that is one thing which is puzzling for me. Otherwise, if you had answered and then as somebody was telling you corrected after looking at the answer, then that is still, it should not be like this. It should be between 45, 50 or something like that. This is of course an outlier, but most of you, whoever has attempted, I think the lower scores maybe were with, without consulting the book, but these are still After consulting, it should not be like this, because you remember, you are already knowing from which portion these questions are. The specific chapter, it is just one chapter, 4 or 5 pages. In the exam, you will not know about this. It might, maximum you might know it is from Sajmark philosophy, or at the most you might know even complete works volume 1. That is all. So you will have a more challenging time to check from which portion this question is coming. So accordingly, you would have to prepare. So our discussion earlier, when Raghu brother and we were discussing this, he was suggesting you read that particular chapter and then attempt doing the quiz. That would be more helpful. So you will know, it will be reinforcing, once you again come back and check these questions. So that is something I think we have to work on. So this is regarding chapter 1. So same is the story in chapter 2, which is Sajmar philosophy chapter 2. 110 was the maximum score. 97, only one person answered, and the rest is all, median is around 75, 73, 78. It is, so it is not actually, a good sign if you are doing with the help of the book. Then the third chapter, 13 responses are there. This is a bit better. I think we are also becoming wiser, and they are now closer to the max of 36. So 36 already somebody has scored, and they're all median is very close, 34 out of 37. That is better, but it should be 100% if you are doing with a book. There is no room for error. Fourth chapter, only 3 responses were there till yesterday, and out of 62, somebody scored, almost 67, about 60 or 62. The other one is pretty low. So this is regarding chapter 4 from philosophy, Sajnar philosophy. Then the next book, commentary on 10 maxims, which we did earlier. This is 3, 4, 5, and 6. I think 3 chapters we had. In that, the distribution is, there is a big spread from 30 to 55 out of a maximum of 62 points. So this is then commentary on 10 maxims, 7, 8, 9, the chapters. Again, same problem. So please look at where the problem is. You have to identify this yourselves. Why still these errors are creeping in? Once you are still, we are referring the book. Reality head-on, the same story. Out of 22, so this is chapter 1. It is a big range again. 16 is the median out of 22. Chapter 2 again, out of 42, 33 is the median. And these are all, verbatim. I have done very little modifications here and there just to make you alert. Otherwise, if the text is as it is from the book, I have not done any, tricky part of it, giving the negative to give you answers in the false and not true and things like that. So this is chapter 3, reality at dawn. Again, out of 74, 47 is the median, around 50, 55, we have got few responses. Then chapter 9, realization, is one of the biggest and maximum number of questions you can expect from this. Out of 84, we have got up to 70 or so. And the range is between, say, 59 to with 54 as the median. So these, I think, is the last. We have got about 10 slides out of all these. So let us now discuss on how to improve this. Raghu brother, you can give some suggestions on how to go about for the remaining part.
See, first and foremost, I'm a bit surprised that why people, all of you, are not taking it.
That is another thing I wanted to take up later
I'm
on.
a bit surprised by that because I would have expected that this is a very good opportunity for you to practice. So I would have loved to see all of you taking the exam because in a way that would have reinforced your learning. So I'm a bit surprised not having done so. Second thing is, from whatever average that we are seeing across the slides, it looks like anywhere between 60 to 65, 55 to 65%. And the examination cutoff mark is 75%. And there are negative marks. So to be on the safer side, if you all aim to come to around 85 to 90%, even if there are some negative marks, then you should still be above the 75%. So that's something that you need to keep in mind. And if, as brother said, they are not going to give you chapters. They're only going to give you the book name. That's it. So until you are pretty clear regarding where the issue is, which is the reason why we are doing this exercise. We are doing this exercise to make you good at looking for answers so that you can save time in the exam in the open book. That is what we are doing. So my only request to all of you is try and do it every day. Because whenever Vijay brother posts the question, the question paper, so to say, it's a good opportunity for you to kind of reinforce your learning. Secondly, try and see whether you can actually be more accurate in the way that you're accurate. Because in the examination, generally, they take sentences or phrases directly from the book. They don't change it.
That's what I have done also. No changes.
So this is exactly mimicking an examination situation. In the examination, they are going to just do the same thing, and we are just mimicking what they will do in the examination. So we would request you to take these questions that are being posted more seriously. See, there are on an average every day I'm seeing around 12 to 13 or 14 people attending. If that is the case, I want all of you to take it and then try and get the maximum amount of marks, because the more you actually get the correct answers, the more your confidence builds. When your confidence builds, when you go to the examination hall, you're already in a very confident state of mind. If you are going to be having difficulties here, then what is going to happen is by the time you go to the exams, you are also still having lingering doubts regarding what will happen in the exam. We don't want you to have that. So other thing that you can do is do it twice. Doesn't matter. Do 2 times. Do it once and see how well you do. Do it again one more time. It doesn't matter. So if you think that doing the first time versus second time it improves, that means you are on the right track.
Yeah.
So that's another thing that you can actually practice at home, because you can do this n number of times. Nobody is going to prevent you from doing it n number of times. So I don't know whether Vijay brother has put a bar saying that you can only attempt it once. I don't think.
No, I think I can remove that in case there is a problem.
Exactly. They can actually do
Another
it
suggestion I had was that they can read that particular chapter before attempting, attempt without the book, because this is very specific. And you should be, then you can again come back and check how we are doing. So, you know, which are the ones which are not, you are not able to remember. So you can read again and then try to, you know, have better recall.
So 2, 3 things. Request is please all of you take. Second, take it 2 times. It doesn't matter. Now, whether you want to take it 2 times without the book, with the book, we will leave it to you. The third suggestion is, as Vijay brother said, read the book once, close the book, take the examination to see how much you can actually recall. That also will save time in the exam. Because if the answer is straightforward and you can just go and write the answer, why should you actually waste time reading the book? There is no need. That's exactly what we used to do in all our exams. We were never allowed to take the books. We always, whatever we could remember, we had to write in the test, in the examination. So if you can practice that way, you will be better prepared even for an open book. So my suggestion is read the book and see. And then if you have taken it without seeing the book, if you want to kind of get well versed with seeing the book and writing, but remember, if you are seeing the book and writing, you should be getting at least 90% plus marks. You should be very accurate, because you are having the book with you and you know which chapter it is coming from. So it cannot be that difficult, right? So anyway, we will follow it up in the next 1 week to see if the number of people who are taking the tests are increasing. Okay, I hope all of you people have got the email regarding the exam selection center. Have you people got the email?
Yes, brother, I got, brother. Yes, I got, brother.
How you have indicated which center you are writing? Okay, good. So if that is the case, then it's all right. But only Datesh brother said that he had not received, so I just sent him the link. I think he's also been able to do that. So no problem. So around 80 people, 85 plus people are writing the exams in for Karnataka, the last batch. There are around 900 plus candidates across India. So around 85 plus candidates from Karnataka. So I think some of them might write in crust, some of them might actually write in Khanha. So that's how it is as of now. So you are going to get the admit cards after the 10th. So if you have difficulty in getting your admit card number, please get in touch with me. We will get the list of the admit card numbers. We will share the numbers if in case you don't get the email about the admit card number. Okay. So that's as far as the examination is concerned. You still have around 2 weeks plus. So our suggestion is please try and make the best use of these 2 weeks. Okay. I think you are making Vijay brother burn the midnight oil to help you prepare all these questions. And we are hoping that these questions will be useful for the next batch also. So it will be a worthwhile effort. Okay. So we should all be thankful to Vijay brother. And Vidya sister is looking forward for the next batch. So she'll be more than happy to have this question. But she is not part of that group. So I don't think she's getting the questions though. Are you getting the questions?
Yes, brother. I'm solving the questions also.
Okay, that's good. So that means somebody is leaking.
Yes,
We are all very good at leaking. That's a good thing. And if the
No,
leaking is going to happen,
it is coming to the group only, brother.
no, but I don't think you
I
are
don't know who is.
no, but you are not part of the SNP2 group though.
No, I'm not. But it is there in the group which I'm taking this SNP3 group. It's coming. So I took care
I'm not putting it in the
that
SNP3. So I
module
don't know who is
question
putting it. But whatever it
papers.
is, if you're taking, well and good, no problem. No complaints. It's okay, no problem. Okay,
I have to just check. I don't know.
not to worry.
The
If
whole
you're taking the
questions
paper
are
in your
coming.
activity, please do it. No problem. Okay, not to worry.
Hello, brother.
ಸರಿ ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಟ್ರೈ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ ಸೊ ಶ್ವೇತಾ ಅನಿಲ್ ಕುಮಾರ್
Hello.
ಅವರು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ವಾ ಅನಿಲ್ ನಾಗರಾಜ್ ಪಾಟೀಲ್
Okay, I hope it is okay. I don't know. I thought because
not all of them I done, bro. One or two I have taken up. I'll start taking now.
Please take it. I think next
Yes.
few days, if you can take all the things again, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
If you have a holiday, just take all the papers again. It hardly takes about half an hour to 45 minutes to finish one paper. So you can just kind of revise it over the weekend. Anyway, this Sunday you will not have any class. So you will not have any trouble from me also. So don't worry about it. Because I am away in Hubli this Sunday, so not to worry about it. So you can spend the whole day in Nirvana. No problem. So if you are planning to take the exam, we request you to take it seriously. Because this is a very good preparation for the examination. Many people, from what we get to know from the central team, they all score good marks in the first part, the practical part. The people, why they do not clear the exam is because they actually get less marks in the open book. Now it's a bit surprising, but that is exactly the fact that has been happening over the last many exams, not just one exam. So it's the open book that people actually struggle with. But in the closed book, they actually do pretty well. Many people get 75 to 80% plus in the open book. So if you want to do well, make the closed book also, open book also as a closed book exam and try to do it. In that way, you will be better prepared for the exam. Right? Because if it is closed book, then you will not bother about reading the book. You will try to put the best effort. Now, since they have made it open book, we take it for granted and we take the liberty that anyway it's open book. If at all I require to search it, I will search it. But the trouble is, since we have not actually read and remembered in the way that we would do for a closed book, even when we search, we get confused where to search for. And that's why we lose time. And many people do not clear the exams from the open book because they actually write wrong answers and they get negative marks. That's another thing. So, and for every question, they generally would have indicated, does that carry negative mark or not? They will clearly tell you in the examination hall which type of questions will carry negative marks, which do not carry. So you need to keep all those finer points when you write the exam. Okay. Okay, pa. So thank you very much, Vijay brother. So we will all look forward to hearing back from Vijay brother with more complicated questions. And as you people suggested last time, I have told him to, we have requested him to shuffle the questions and not to mark any numbers. So
Yes.
that you should mimic the examination scenario as it is. Okay. And he's also said that he's going to give some questions from other chapters to mix it up so that you should be more prepared going forward. Okay. But all of you try to do it. Don't miss any of the papers that he's giving. It will be a good practice for you. Okay. Saripa, thank you very much for your time. Okay. Namaste.
Thank you, Richard.
So we shall continue now, 173 page number. When you clear off all the matter and exhaust the power produced by you, I mean your self-centered power, you enter the state just as it was in the beginning. In other words, when you untie your own knots in this region, calmness prevails and becomes predominant. Everything you find there, originality is now there, looks calm and simple. Nothing of your own making now remain. Dots and particles disappear, twinkling light also now begins to fade till it comes to zero or nothing. There is no heaviness now. The state is of course beyond conception for the soul, which has not yet come to be to the standard of reality found in it. The self has always a longing for its own realization. It is only possible when it becomes one with the center. Outward things, the coverings with regard to this region are now no more. Cosmic powers reside in this big region of the heart. Before crossing this region onto the real mind, you acquire many powers which are utilized in godly work. I am not going to discuss these powers in this book. So essentially, he's talking about the journey between the first and the 10th point. But you have not reached the original condition of the soul when it was first born. That happens when you enter into the central region. That's what he's talking about. I am now revealing my research, innovation, or discovery, as you may be pleased to call it, as regards this region, the heart region. I take the heart made up of flesh and blood and divide it into two parts, as shown in the diagram 1. The first part in the circle is U, which is the upper part, which is brighter than the other, which is marked as L. Can you see figure 1, U and L in the figure? The upper region marked as U is the first point in the heart, and the lower point region marked as L is the second part of the heart. The upper one is the landing point of the great rishis. They come into this state after a good deal of penance and sacrifice. The thing is not open to everybody, although so near, but only to him who really deserves it. The lower region is generally the place of common folk. Superconsciousness of the inferior type is in the region marked U, in the first point itself. So superconsciousness of the inferior type is there in the first point itself, in the region marked as U. You begin to become conscious of many godly things when you reside in this region. The man who is always intoxicated with worldly things cannot reach even this state of superconsciousness of the inferior type. Okay. Now there are 3 points, one above, the other below, and the third somewhere in between the two. The upper point is denoted as A, the lower one as B, and you will find different sheets and writtis written there. You know about the AB points, and now they will also ask you about the CD subpoints. ABCD subpoints and what they are related to. That's also a very commonly asked question in the exam. And please check, have they asked points or have they asked subpoints? Because in the last examination, when they had asked about the subpoints, all the people wrote about the 5 points in the heart region. They all got 0 marks for that. They had asked about subpoints, which is ABCD, and these people had written 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So please be very careful about what question they have asked and accordingly try to answer. Okay. Between A and B, there is a point which, if pressed, you can have communication with the liberated souls of the brighter world. After some practice of Raja Yoga. Whatever you think of anything, the idea first comes in A. Whatever you think repeatedly located at the point A, you will form your fate accordingly. At a point B, if you meditate that you are becoming devoid of all sensual things, the result will follow in the shortest possible time, which you cannot even imagine unless you do it yourself. The Abhyasis under our system of Sahaj Marg on these points practice on these points and find remarkable improvement. If the practice is systematically done on both these points, desires will begin to soon bid farewell. The point between A and B is kept as a secret, as havoc can be brought if it is improperly used. So I am not disclosing it at all. If you enter the upper region, the cleaning the points A and B, you make yourself deserving for reaching the other sorts of superconscious state which lies in this region of the heart. One who thoroughly cleans the point B receives then the happy tidings of his entry into that sort of superconsciousness state that I am going to deal with hereafter. So if you want to enter into the higher states of superconsciousness, the lowest state of superconsciousness is in the first point. But if you want to go to the higher states of superconscious at other levels, you need to work on point A and B, especially point B. Okay. Now, Daji has also mentioned about this in the Heartfulness Way. He has said that if you want to work on the superconsciousness, you have to work on point A and B regularly. I am locating the point A and B by the actual measurement. The heart lies in the left side of the body near the lower part of the left lung. Measure 2 fingers width straight to the right of the left nipple. Then proceed straightway downwards up 3 fingers width. This is the position of point A. Now you proceed 2 fingers width straight downwards. From point A, you will find point B, just above the lowest rib. Measurement is to be taken with one's own fingers. Our superconsciousness travels in this region till we come to the point of the superior type of superconsciousness, we call it. This is shown in the diagram 3. Can you see diagram 3? In the next page, 17, the next page. So in the center, in the forehead, you have the 7, at the 7th point, you have the second kind of superconsciousness, which is called as superior kind of superconsciousness. The only difference is that U and L. Now again, he is not mentioned here. If you just go back to this, in the diagram 3, Babuji has mentioned D1. Can you see D1 in diagram 3?
In the standard book, the D1 and all is not there, brother.
No, it is there in my book. It is not there in your book?
No, brother.
It is there, brother. In my book, it's there.
For me
No,
also,
no,
it's not there, brother.
Brother, there is something called standard book.
I
There
don't
it's
know
not
which
there.
standard book that you are talking about.
It is Datesh brother to pipe in. He's the one who coached us on it.
Is it?
The latest versions. Yeah.
In the latest version, you don't have the D1 point?
Yes, brother. We don't.
No, brother, we don't have.
Okay, not to worry. So when Babuji says when you enter into the lowest type of super consciousness is marked as D. Now when you enter into the superior types of super consciousness in the 7th point, the difference is in the Pinda Pradesh, the U is above and to the right, and the L is lower and to the left. When you come to the super consciousness in the forehead, it is reverse. The L is above and the U is below. The same pattern continues as you proceed to the other kinds of superconsciousness that we are going to read. Now, this superconsciousness that he's talked about, he's marked it as D, D1, D2, and D3. That's why I asked you, because it's there in diagram 3, that's why I asked. Not to worry. You can just remember that there are 4 levels of superconsciousness. The lowest is in point 1. The second one, the superior, is in the forehead around the 7th point. The third one is around the 10th point, and the last one is around the 13th point. Now, in the heart, the upper region lies to the right side, whereas here it lies in the left side. And the lower region is on the right. Now, like we have A and B point in the Pinda Pradesh, you call that as A1 and B1 in the forehead. Then you call it the next level as A2, B2, and the third level as A3, B3. The importance of this is that if you work on A and B in the lowest level, the work automatically occurs at A1, A2, A3, B1, B2, B3. That is the benefit of knowing the A and B points and working on the A and B points in the Pinda Pradesh. So just remember that. That is what he is now trying to explain. Here, A1 and B1 are points akin to those A and B in the heart. In the portion called D1, there is a superior type of superconsciousness. The only difference is that the ideas creeping in at A1 are final. Compared to A, in the Pinda Pradesh, the ideas in the A1 are final. It is left to the Abhyasis to purify the point B1 so that the final points, final things may begin to read. You get purified to the same extent in this portion as you purify the points A and B. So our job is to work on the points A and B, not to worry about A1, A2, A3, B1, B2, B3. The work will automatically extend to these points. We don't need to separately work on them. Okay, that is what you remember. People generally proceed with the right side called the lower region because they have not purified the heart so much so as to enable them to enter this portion in the brighter state. They want to enter with all the things that they possess. Thus, they try to attempt the impossible by trying to proceed with the left side. It depends upon the worthy master or the guide to lead his disciple to the right side, the correct side, with his things or belongings cast aside. Here the cosmos begins, which is a part of the big circle of heart. Here people often feel the light being displayed in heavy showers. But this is not our goal. We must tear it off before we cross this big circle of heart. Now he is talking about the A2, B2. Okay. Similarly, we now come to the other part of the region called D2, the upper one. The right side is the lower region as diagram shows. Here we find the superfine state of superconsciousness. So the lowest one, superior one, superfine state of superconsciousness, which is A2, B2. In all depends upon the point B of the heart, which we purify to the core, will land in point A2, which lies in the region D2. A little beneath the superfine state of the superconsciousness, where the region of the mind begins. Behind the skull, there are again two parts having the same points, but they are passed over easily to reach the point, which I shall now show in the diagram later on. I have discussed enough of the heart region, though only in outline. I shall now deal with the finer states that we come across during our march onwards. So all that you need to remember is, if you work on A and B point in the Pinda Pradesh, simultaneously you are working on the A1, A2, A3, B1, B2, B3 at other higher points. If you can remember that, that will be enough. The heart is broken down into two parts. The upper part is called as U, the lower part is called as L. It's in the upper part everywhere that the superconsciousness lies. The lowest level is called as the lowest level of lowest kind of superconsciousness. This is called as the superior kind of superconsciousness. This third one is called as superfine state of superconsciousness. And then the last one is called as the highest state of superconsciousness, which is near the 13th point. So that we'll come to in the next chapters after that. Okay? Any questions? A and B point you already know. In fact, you know more now because you also need to know C and D points and their qualities and their function. So all of you know about it. Which is the gateway of samskara formation? Which is a point? Of the ABC.
C.
Point.
C, brother. C.
Entry point.
Likes and dislikes.
C point is the gateway of samskara formation. Now remember how spiritual literature evolves. When Babaji wrote this book, there was no mention of C and D point. But when Daji wrote the Heartfulness Way, there is the mention of the C and D point. So I want you to keep in mind that spirituality is continuously evolving and not to always stick to only the old book as the only thing because it keeps evolving. Like every subject evolves, spirituality also evolves. So we need to keep a pace with the new things that come our way. Okay? So the point related to guilt is which sub-point?
D point. D.
And how do you clean the D point?
Bedtime prayer
Along with
by
B.
liberating.
Bedtime prayer.
So prayer, bedtime prayer. Whether you want to call it as bedtime prayer, because you can clean it even at other times also. Why only bedtime prayer? Answer is prayer. You can only clean the guilt samskaras by prayer only. It cannot be cleaned otherwise. Because there are some people who are practicing D point cleaning. That cannot be done. Daji has actually dismissed it many times. Okay? So don't fall prey for that. So what is the point A relating to? A point is relating to what?
Universal brotherhood.
Worldly desires.
Sorry? All the desires, worldly desires.
Yeah,
That's what
worldly
desires.
Not universal brotherhood. When we
Yeah,
when we meditate point on point A, that is what you write, universal brotherhood. When you
Yeah.
ask what is the thing that you actually find in point A, you
Yes,
talk about the
yes.
worldly desires.
Worldly desires.
So please read the question and then answer.
Yeah.
Lastly, B point is related to
Sensuality.
Sensuality.
sensual desires. So if you can remember those things, I think that will be fine. So all these three things, the four subpoints and their functions and their locations, generally they ask as a question in the examination. So please keep it in mind. Okay. Yogita sister, go ahead.
Brother, as you know that Babuji has told us certain points how to locate point A, B, but Daji has given a different approach also. So in
It's okay.
exam, which
You
one
can
we
write
need to
whichever.
write?
That's fine. Both are okay.
Okay. Okay.
No problem. As long as you correctly locate, don't get confused between the two methods. Stick to one method. Don't try to mix up the two methods. If you stick to one method, it will be fine. Both are accepted.
Okay, brother. Thank you.
Okay. Shall we continue now to the next point? Next
One
chapter.
question, brother.
Sorry?
One question.
Go ahead.
Brother,
Go ahead.
brother, upper region, lower region, very clear. All the A points and B points clear. But the fleshy heart, if we divide into two parts, upper region of the fleshy heart is upper region. My question, brother, this A point, B point and all is there, no, brother? Is it somewhere in the upper region or distributed all over upper and lower?
It is not distributed, it is a specific point.
Got it. But the fleshy heart is, I'm not a doctor, so the heart positioning inside that breast region, the A point, B point is just two fingers difference. Is it falling in the upper region of the fleshy heart or how is it, brother?
Now you need to look at how the heart is placed inside.
Uh-huh.
So depending on that, you can actually talk about it. If you want to kind of take the fleshy heart part of it, you can actually say it actually corresponds to the atrium, not the ventricle. The heart has two parts, atrium and ventricle. Atrium is the upper part and ventricle is the lower part.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to look at the fleshy heart, both A and B points relate to the atrium, not the ventricle.
Oh, A and B upper. Got it. Then upper region only. Got it, brother.
Both atrium.
Thank you, brother. Thank you very much.
Okay. Okay.
Excellent. Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Mind region. After crossing the region of the heart, we enter into the first or super mind of God. No words can express the condition which one feels there. There is only such symptoms as give you an idea of this big region. What we gain in the region of the heart is beyond one's conception. Now we can take this, we take up the higher region. The essence of the region of the heart lies here. That's what I said. So whatever is there in the heart region, the essence of that lies in the mind region. The present form of the universe is due to the actions of that big mind. They're all power, no amalgamation, no light. Only power is there in that big mind of God. We have said that calmness remains predominant in the region of the heart when it comes in original form. What kind of calmness prevails there is beyond one's conception, but in order to express it somehow or other, I may say if calmness prevailing in the heart region were to be refined, it may roughly express the type or character of the calmness in the region of the mind. It is only an idea that the calmness that now remains. In other words, the forgetfulness state of calmness is predominating there, which is not the only thing to be acquired. So in the heart region, we become calmer, but when we enter into the mind region, we actually lose awareness of that calmness. If at all we are aware of the calmness, it's like in a very refined state. Now the second thing now, our Anubhava Shakti develops mostly when we enter into this region, the mind region. It remains now on one's part to feel. From here, things come in shape and light. There is motion. Invisible motions which multiplying together with the idea of creation increase the force downwards. So the invisible motions here is called as vibrations. Along with the idea of the creation, they actually increase the motions downwards. The outcome is the innumerable varieties we see in the universe. It is beyond ethereal force. Air does not blow here. This is the most powerful region of the God. For your understanding, you may call it as the powerhouse for setting the godly machinery going. So you call it as the powerhouse of God. This entire physical manifestation is up to the 10th point. Beyond that, it is the powerhouse of God. The entire machinery of nature is up to the 10th point. After that, you have the powerhouse of God, which is making these things work in tandem. Motionless things appearing as invisible motion, that excite vibrations are there and have great power. It is very difficult to explain this idea, which can only be felt. People may doubt how calmness can abide when motion is there. Imperceptible, it may be. I would say that there is calmness in defined form and it is imperceptible. Just the idea about creation is expressed as imperceptible, still it is something after all. So there is calmness along with vibration, but it's not kind of easily perceivable. We have not yet come to the point expressed as zero or nothingness. When we when can we enter this state? Only when we make ourselves as such. We get power from the first mind to reach the state of the zero. This is the state which even angels crave for. The air of this state can be felt by him and him alone, who has abandoned all airs, who has become a living dead. Divine effulgence too now vanishes, though still there remains something. But where only a little way off, and then that too gives way. It means that you now are making preparations for entering the stage you have to attain. The limit of divine effulgence extends only a little way further, beyond which remains mere conception. Go ahead, and that too is gone. Expression now fails. The region of the mind is crossed. So when you cross the region of the mind, you are entering into a state of living dead. The divine effulgence is felt, but once you kind of cross the mind region, the divine effulgence also bids farewell. Okay? Then it is the central region. Any questions on the mind region?
Yes, brother. May I? Or I will allow others to start off, brother. I take last.
Brother, when mind region is so important, why Babuji has written only one page and heart region and central region have explained?
It takes a lot of time to cross the heart region. In fact, Lalaji writes, try to keep the Abhyasi for as long as possible in the heart region. Because if the Abhyasi becomes well versed with the subtle experiences or the subtle changes in the experiences in the heart region, they become sensitive to the work in the mind region. If the heart region is made to be crossed faster before the Abhyasi develops that subtlety, then their ability to grasp what happens in the mind region is very little. Now, as and when we proceed to higher points, the samskaras are very subtle in nature. So, the journey in the mind region is pretty fast because there are not many blockages as opposed to the heart region where there are a lot of samskaras and grosser samskaras which needs to be worked on before we actually move on to the next region. So, it takes a lot of time to cross the heart region. It takes less time comparatively to cross the mind region. Okay. So you can say that the 2 pages or 3 pages is indicative of the short time required to cross the mind region.
Okay, brother, thank you.
Brother, in the mind region, Babuji is using the words first mind of God. I have a problem because the first mind of God is a stir.
Yeah, correct. That's where I think some of the terminologies used in different chapters can actually create confusion. What you said is correct.
Yeah. Here,
Sometimes,
over to you, brother.
sometimes we call the stir as the first mind or the super mind of God. Sometimes we call the entire mind from the stir up to the 10th mind as the first mind or the divine mind of God or the super mind of God. Sometimes we call the mind from the 10th point up to the 13th point as the divine mind of God, and the mind after that as the first mind of God. So the terminology is sometimes confusing. To just make it easy, the first mind of God is the star. From there, the first mind continues till it gets out of the central region. Then you get the divine mind. After that, the divine mind, you actually go on to the other minds, the Par-Brahmanya mind, the Brahmanya mind, and then the individual mind. That's a far more easier way of remembering the minds. Otherwise, Babaji has used sometimes a confusing terminology in different chapters. So that's a correct observation. So let us have clarity. We know what he means, but it's okay. Let us have clarity on that. So sometimes he means from the stir up to the 10th point, he denotes it as the first mind of God or super mind of God. Okay. So just keep that
You're
in
saying,
mind.
brother, from the star to the 10th point or the 13th point? 10th
point.
mind. 10th.
That is what he is saying now here in this book, in this chapter.
Oh, okay. Here the mind, whatever he's mentioning is 10th point to the star.
Yeah.
Got it. Got it, brother. Thank you. Over to you.
Any other questions? So even in the examination, when they ask a question regarding the first mind or the super mind or the big mind of God, just be careful in what context that question has come about. Okay? Since in the same book, there are different meanings for the same words, just keep that in mind. Sometimes it might be a bit confusing in the examination also. Okay? Okay, shall we just continue now? At least 1 or 2 pages of central region. After that, we can stop. It's coming up to 10:55. After crossing the mind region, there comes the central region. The super consciousness of the finest type comes here. The finest level of super consciousness. The theory of inward endo comes in again as explained in the commentary on the 10 maxims. What we find on the right side of the heart is, we find it on the right side of this region, that is called as D3, is the last stage of super consciousness, where every stage is gone, zero or nothingness. It is the super finest state of super consciousness. Now, previously it is called a super fine state, now it is called a super finest state of super consciousness. This kind of super consciousness is reserved for the incarnation of deity. The state is sometimes, though very rarely, and exceptional circumstances bestowed onto some special personality too, who generally comes for the change of the world. His position comes next to the incarnation of deity. He practically enjoys the same position as regard to the working of the nature. So the incarnation is the highest, the avatars, then comes the special personality. Okay, just remember that. But as far as functioning goes, both are doing the same thing. Both come for the sake of changing the world. But in terms of hierarchy, incarnations are the avatars first and then the special personality. Nature now requires change, a thorough overhauling, and for this purpose, I must assure you that a special personality has already come into existence and has been at work for the last 2.5 years. The great sages of today, with the highest standings in spirituality, little known to the world in general, are working under his direction. Still, more individuals are being prepared for the task ahead. Those who have eyes and vision may see and realize his working and its effect. The task ahead is of very important nature, and the change will be the ultimate result. Time he may take, but the result is inevitable, after which the world will shine forth in its true color. The time is soon at hand when the various forces of nature under his command will set to work under his guidance after he has prepared the field for it. They are waiting for the task. Such a personality gets power directly to keep the machinery of the nature in proper working order. What is the machinery of nature? Can somebody say? What is the big machinery of nature?
Heart region?
The heart region.
Pind Pradesh?
No, the heart region. You have to say heart region. Not Pitta Pradesh. The entire heart region. The answer will be heart region.
1 to 10 points.
Not Pitta Pradesh. I told you don't write 1 to 10 points in the examination.
Got it.
They will not accept. So answer will be heart region. Remember that. That's specifically mentioned in the previous chapter. Saints with clairvoyant vision of the highest type in spiritual field, who have the capacity to intercommune with liberated souls that are well developed, can justify these facts by directly communing with him or reading nature. Others will see their results in material form in due course. To come again to the point, now here is the end of all our activity, and we now have entered the godly region in the pure form. So we entered the divine kingdom of Prabhu at the 10th point. Now when we enter into the central region, we have now entered into the godly region in the purest form. Our goal is achieved and we are admitted into it. The self is realized. So after entering into the central region, the self is realized. We are above actual consciousness, which abides in the region of the heart and its potentiality, which is rooted in the mind region. So this is an answer, Pallavi sister. In the my heart region, there is consciousness. The potentiality of the consciousness is in the mind region. Now we are above consciousness once we enter into the central region. We are now free from the endless cycle of rebirth. People may call this stage as truth. It is not really truth we have arrived at. Truth has been left far behind and we are no more working in it. Truth carries with it the sense of something which is not there. Truth is really the refuse of the condition described above as nothingness. To make it more clear, I would add that generally people admire truth as it appears in the form of consciousness. But consciousness is not our goal. It is only a toy for the children to play with. We have to reach a point where consciousness assumes its true form, what it ought to be. We have to make a search for the mother tincture from which medicines are actually prepared. We are searching for the potentiality which creates consciousness, and if that too is gone, then we find ourselves on the verge of reality. True reality, pure and simple. This philosophy is too high to be described adequately in words. So what do you get after you have crossed the potentiality of the... So the consciousness is in the heart region. The potentiality of the consciousness is in the mind region. After you cross that potentiality, you get into pure reality, the region of the pure reality. There's no consciousness there. When people talk about the truth is in the realm of the consciousness, not beyond. So don't get confused. Okay, this was one question which was asked in the previous exam. So just keep an eye on this particular paragraph about truth and its relationship to consciousness. Truth is part of the consciousness. It is not the highest. Because we cross the consciousness when we cross the heart region, and then after that we enter into the mind region where the potentiality of the consciousness is there. After that we enter into the central region, or where is the region of the pure reality. Now where is the truth? The truth in the realm of the consciousness. Not even the potentiality, it is in the realm of the consciousness. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Okay, so my suggestion is we will probably end here today. And from here, from 185, the last page, we'll continue from 186 tomorrow. Okay, so hope that we can actually complete tomorrow up to the conclusion. So that's what I'm hoping to achieve. Let's see how it goes. So thank you very much for coming in and joining. And as we said, Vijay brother presented few things. Please be aware of that. Try it multiple times in different combinations. Get well versed with looking for things in the book. That will be our request. Okay, Yogita?
Brother, as you told that the incarnations are coming from the central region, but Lord Krishna was from point 10, right, brother? So was he not an incarnation?
Who said Lord Krishna is from point 10?
I think in the book only we read somewhere, brother.
No.
Mahamaya.
But the Mahamaya is not mentioned in the book, and neither the points of the Mahamaya is mentioned in this book.
Yeah.
So where did you read? Now, if you have
Definitely.
read anything about Krishna coming from 10th point, please give the reference.
12 point.
Definitely, I'm reading this book only, brother, so I don't know which, or maybe I would have understood wrongly, maybe.
Mahamaya is beyond 10th point. So Krishna came from the highest level of the Mahamaya. Rama came from the lowest level of the Mahamaya. And if you read the part of avatars in the Sahajmarg philosophy, that is where you are getting confused. There, Babuji writes
Yeah.
about the central point and the center and other things. That is a bit confusing. So don't go by that. It's a bit confusing. You remember that was one of the questions that Pallavi sister had asked. So don't get confused about the central region, the central point, there's another center there. So it's a bit confusing. The region of the Mahamaya is beyond the 10th point, but before the central region. That is the region of the Mahamaya. Okay? So just keep that in mind.
I have one more question, brother. So heart region and Pind Pradesh both are same, right, brother, or they are different?
Exactly. As far as examination goes, heart region means the first 5 points. Pind Pradesh means the first 5 points. Yes.
Okay, brother. I know it's late, but I have one question out of the book because one Abhyasi asked me. So I just want to ask one question, brother, that when we do cleaning, why we do it only from the back and not from the legs back, only from the back to top? So that was the question. I was not able to answer that.
We'll talk about it tomorrow. Okay?
Okay, brother. Okay,
Okay.
brother.
Because I have another meeting already. I'm late by 4 minutes. I'm the host of that meeting. So people will be
Okay,
waiting.
brother.
Okay?
Okay, brother. Thank you.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Okay? 6:30 tomorrow. Namaste.
Yeah.
Yes,
Thank you, brother.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.